Chapter 0. Storyline. Bro. You wouldn't believe this. Everything was normal. Me and my brothers doing some mining for mana gems for that old Sockethole, so manda like we always do all day, every day. Me, Fractures, Bonet, Mono Socket, Broadbone and the gang. Then from nowhere, that ungrateful Sockethole, so manda tries to end me. Can you believe that? I mean, I have told some questionable stories about him caressing my skull affectionately and deeming me his prized undead, but no need to axe a skeleton for something like that, right? Right? I managed to escape through one of the most convenient and contrived getaways in all of Undead history, even managing to pull a bony one on the lich bastard by stealing two of his seemingly important possessions, which I find out later to be better than I thought they'd be. From there it's just a spiral of bone shit left and right. I can't catch a break. What's with this atrocious luck, bro? A voice speaks to me about how I have qualified for something about a something that's supposedly something something. Then I find myself in a new world that reeks of life and gives my bones a disgusted rattle. Powerful beasts and men are at every turn, all lining up to be a huge pain in my pelvis. Gaya. Geez, this is happening too fast. However, even while I'm in the thick of this, the one saving grace is that I got something worthwhile. A new path of power. I can not be an undead. I can be something better than both the living and the dead. Immune to the antics from both sides. Well, most of them. I'm no longer on the path for undeath. Only lifelessness awaits me. I'm the one who transcends reality in this tale. I am Scullius. And I'm not an undead. Sneak peek. What kind of skills are these? What can I do with them? They better not be worthless, vow bro. Please refrain from calling me you know what, whatever. Scroll down to access the actual descriptions about the skills. Okay. Click. Supreme skill. Flesh it like you mean it, LV1. Tired of looking dead? Are your eyes hollow? Do you need to smile and show off something other than bones? Call on the power of cosmetic flesh and get a body that's to your liking, not really. Supreme skill. Lifeless evolution. Tired of the same old undead evolutions? Is being undead not trendy anymore? Is your lich a Sockethole who doesn't admire your efforts? Well then, try the lifeless evolution package. 4 strong, unorthodox, and peculiar evolutions that will knock your skull off. If I were seeing these in your guidance field, it means that the skill is bound to and is non-refundable. I'm going to regret this, right? A/N, only the first 4 chapters are in first person. The rest are in third. My sockets flickered with an intense light as I welcomed another day in undeath. I rose from the position which I had laid in and stood. My spot was a hollow place on the wall where I and the rest of my dead folk would go into slumber. Above my own hollow was another one also etched into the wall where another of my brethren was still in slumber. Our tomb was small, with a large rock covering the circular entrance. My fellow brother in death shook, causing his bony body to rattle and the fire in his sockets to burn a bright red. He woke up and jumped down from the hollow, landing on the ground. "Dead morning, Scullius," he said to me. "Dead morning to you too, Bonet," I said as I began stretching my off-white skeletal body. Downward dog. Tree pose. Chair pose. Boat pose. Triangle pose. Bro, what are you doing? Bonet asked with the flame in his eyes dancing in confusion. I suddenly jerked and stopped. I stood up and faced him. I don't know. It felt vaguely familiar, I replied. Enough games, let's go out before we miss morning roll call. Bonet walked up to the large rock that covered the tomb. Don't just stand there, get over here and help me, he said. I quit staring at my bony hands in confusion and went to help him push away the large rock of the tomb. Bloody hell, it's heavy. I do this every day and it never gets easier. We finally managed to push it away, revealing a large open space which had a large number of entrances to bunk tombs just like our own. We walked out of our bunk tomb and saw a large crowd of skeletons gathered in the midst of the vast cave, chatting away with their different colored flames flickering. Bonnet was half a head taller than me with bones that had a light gray color. A small light the size of a marble could be seen within his chest, rib cage, emitting a poor white light. "Man, I'm drooling over those bones, Bonnet," I said to him while running my bony finger along his arm. Bonnet turned to me and the flame in his socket flickered fiercely. If you want to read more chapters, please visit novelbin.com to experience faster update speed. Heh. Now you envy the brilliance of my tough bones. They are almost stronger than any steel now. I told you to quit your flimsy mana practice and just focus on the skill most important to all undead, Scullius. Boneman of Steel is the best, he said proudly. Maybe, I said. We continued walking until we reached the crowd of thousands of other undead. A burly skeleton who was over 2 meters in height jogged over to us, the flame in his sockets dancing with a yellow glow. "Eee, Bonnet, Scullius. Took you long enough to wake up. Is the Lich having a hard time waking you up from slumber each morning now?" the burly skeleton said. "I think so, fractures. Between Scullius and his large mana core and my dense bones." Bonnet paused while flexing his bone luster. "I'd say his mana is getting wrecked." Keck. I looked to the side in shame. Within me was a core the size of a tennis ball, emitting a faint white light. TK. That was the sound of fractures, the burly skeleton, laughing. As we conversed, a large death knight with a valiant grey armor that had begun to rust walked up to the front of the crowd. He exuded a dense pressure that only an undead of his rank possessed. He towered over us at a height over 2.5 meters. His eye sockets blazed with an almost blinding green flame that cast a similarly colored hue on his face, skull. "Attention," he yelled, emitting an eerie force that forced us all to stand at attention. He scanned us all and when he saw that we were all accounted for, he lay his armored hand on his chest plate. We all did the same, our bony fingers on our chests as we then chanted the daily motivation mantra. "Forever dead, dead forever. F***ck life. A nasty endeavor. Yes. Daily motivation mantra, courtesy of Lich Somanda. The fun to say F word in the mantra was an addition by the Lich himself. No idea what it means, but it doesn't bring the mantra to life. The massive doors at the end of the cave we resided in opened on their own to signal the start of another day of monotonous toil. We walked out the doors, greeted by the crimson sun in the sky that dyed our surroundings red, outlining the horizon full of dark hills, mountains, and different kinds of prowling undead creatures. Silhouette of large towers could be seen beyond, with a grand mansion that rose to an absurd height being unmistakably visible to all in this land even further away. This was our world. Dead Man Land. At least that's what we called it. A name stemming from the fact that we are all dead and all men. Probably. A world where only the dead lived. We lived in the comfort of undeath, blanketed by its eerie and unforgiving dead webbed wing. I know. Really sold the idea of death there. We were all created by a powerful undead lich, named Somanda. Our job every day was to mine for a mana-filled resource called mana gems for him. At least that was true for us lower-level undead. We usually heard the higher-level undead boasting about how they vanquished enemies in different worlds under the banner of the lich. That couldn't be true, right? Other worlds. I've been like this for as long as I can remember. 1,000 years, at least. Doing the same thing over, and over, and over again. Every day we mine the gemstones throughout the day and then Somanda cuts off the supply of mana for our undeath and we slumber, only to be woken up when it's time for work again. We walked in a single file for miles, seeing the black soil and dark-colored crooked protrusions that rise from the grounds. The undead animals spend the day, prowling or fighting with each other. Most of them are just a lazy aesthetic anyway. We reached a spot with tons of unearthed dirt spanning over thousands of miles and walked into the massive pits that leads into the underground pathways in specialized groups led by an undead captain. Undead captains are undead one rank below Death Knights. They exude a stronger presence than us, donning less attractive armor. Inside, with the pitch-black walls and darkness, our eyes, which had an aggressively positive affinity to the nothingness, saw all very clearly. We advanced until we could see where we left off, the glowing red and blue rocks that were fitted into the walls being an indicator of the day's work yet to be done. Having brought our equipment, pickaxes, made of special redwood and the crude metal curved head, we started digging the rocks out, the captains monitoring us. I hit the wall with my pickaxe, barely feeling a sensation except for the hard wall that barely shifted as I struck it. I hit it again and again, little crumbs of rock following thereafter. TK 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 TK. I turned to find Bonnet laughing at me. He raised his pickaxe and struck down with an unbelievable force that causes the wall to tremble, massive chunks of rock and soil flying and falling along with red and blue glowing gems. He looked at me with his socket flames burning brightly with pride. "Son of a femur," I scoffed. The other undead were in awe and started working hard. It's possible to acquire skills by repeating certain actions in the world. It's every undead's dream to unlock the skill, Boneman of Steel. It causes your bones to get tougher and dense, adding to your strength. For us workers, it's the ideal skill. The undead captains told us the skill's name, encouraging us to cultivate it. However, I've always been more interested in mana. It is very thin over here though, the majority of energy being undeath energy. The mana coalesced over the years seeps into the ground and creates the mana gems we mine, but it takes a pretty darn long time. They have always been my fascination for a long time. The undead beside me was hysterically swinging the axe like a madman, expressing strength that is at least double mine by knocking off chunks of the hard rock and soil off. I'm almost there, I'll have that smooth luster and density too. You hear that, bro? He turned to me, his flame sockets burning incessantly. Why, yeah, sure, man, I said to him. He kept dishing the attacks on the innocent walls and started yelling at me. Bro, get your ass working. I reflexively blurted out, retorting. Bro, I don't have an ass. Wait. I stopped. What's an ass? I asked him. For a moment he jerked and stopped digging. He faced me, and his socket flames quit blazing fiercely. I don't know, it's just vaguely familiar, he said. Chapter 2. I shook my head and put the thought to the back of my mind as I resumed mining. So did he. The day was going to be long and hard. Wait. That didn't sound right. We kept digging and digging. The sensations we feel are limited. We have endless endurance, but we can get bored. Get angry. Happy. Our minds are a mystery. For a long time, I have always enjoyed playing with the mana gems before we have to take them to storage. They are pretty, and at first, I just enjoyed handling them. Then I began to sense the mana within them over time. From sensing to feeling it on my bony hands. Then I began absorbing it. For centuries. I grew proficient in it, draining only a little from many stones so that I didn't get into trouble. Typically all undead absorb mana. However, they do it unconsciously. It takes a long time to even form a mana core as the mana is so damn thin here. After a very long time, I developed a skill. It was related to mana, but I didn't know its name, only feeling its effects. I was scared of asking the undead captains its name as I didn't know what they would tell the lich. I only ever told my friend, Bonnet. I could feel the mana vividly even though it was very thin. The more I absorbed from the mana gems the more the skill grew. Over 1,000 years. Right now, I could sense the mana within a 100-meter radius vividly. I just can't do anything to it. Strangely, I'm the only one who finds this life monotonous. Or at least I started to feel how boring it was at some point. That's what spurred me to enjoy the thrill of feeling my sensitivity to mana grow. As we dug, one thing that always happens in the mines, happened again. A fight. Hey, what's your problem? Can't you see I'm digging over here? A short undead with a blazing blue flame in his socket barked. TK 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 T. So was I. Why did you bump into me? Another undead of average height pushed the other. The short undead staggered and fell only to rise immediately, his socket flame flaring in anger. You socket hole! The short undead rushed up to the other undead and rammed him with his head. The two tumbled down the ground with the funniest clattering of bones I've heard in a while. The undead captain just watched, his flames dancing in amusement. The two rolled on the ground, hitting each other on the bones with punches and kicks. They saw how pointless it was after a time, and then the short undead finally lost it. Flesh you, he boomed. Then there was a silence. Every undead's eye flames flickered dangerously. Mine too. The undead captain finally stepped in. Hey. That was over the line. Apologize, he said. I, the short undead looked around and saw all undead shaking their heads in disapproval. What he just said was a taboo. Sentencing someone to having flesh and life was the worst insult you could throw at a fellow undead. I'm sorry, he bowed at the other undead apologetically. The undead captain nodded his head and then signaled for us to get back to work. We continued swinging and digging for the rest of the day. I managed to dig out a few mana gems. I stealthily absorbed their mana, feeling a chilling sensation in my bones as I did so before leaving just enough juice to keep them from being promoted to regular stones. Their glow made all the difference. With each absorption, I felt, through my skill, the minuscule changes in my mana core. After the day's work was done, we walked in a single file back to our cave. At night, the red sun in the sky would turn darker, emitting almost no light at all. When we reached the entrance to the cave, the same Death Knight from this morning halted me and boned. His gaze turned to me with his brilliant flame and he spoke. If you want to read more chapters, please visit novelbin.com to experience faster update speed. Skill Lius, he asked. I was so nervous that my mana core bobbled. Why yes. I answered. Follow me. Master wants to see you. I shook. What could Master want from me? Did my silly tales of how he had once touched my head finally reach his ear? Or maybe the worse ones? I followed the towering Death Knight through the Darklands until we reached a massive tower where many undead were stationed, swords on their waists and shields on their backs. They looked threatening. The massive stone tower that rose into the sky with a conical shape spooked me. It was roughly 100 meters wide with a large number of floors. A thick deathly mist surrounded it, nourishing the undead that guarded it. The Death Knight led me inside through the massive door made to cater for undead as tall and as large as him. The interior was full of a rather pleasant design of bones and gems featuring an array of different colors. We walked up the many flights of stairs, getting next to no time to appraise and admire the structure of the tower's rooms and build. It was certainly better than a bunk tomb. We finally reached a large room with many materials that I understood and otherwise, potions, gems, bloody organs and a magic circle in the middle, glowing with a green hue. Tens of mana gems were arranged around it, powering it up with mana. Before the circle was a black-robed figure who instantly turned to us as we came in. It was a dark green skeletal undead with a deep red socket flame that demanded reverence and praise from me. It was Lich Somanda. I resisted the urge to bow down and call him master as it came to me, staring at him in fear and anticipation for what we wanted with me. He raised his bony hand and waved, making the Death Knight leave the room. I felt awkward. Somanda didn't say anything for a while, his gaze dead set upon me. I didn't think it was possible so soon, he said. You're already resisting my binding. TK 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 T. He cackled, and I swear, I wanted to run. Bro, that was a phenomenal laugh. Might as well extract some data from you before ending your pitiful existence, he said in a dreadful tone. And my what now? Is he talking about ending my death? I knelt with both knees on the floor and begged. I mean master. Please spare this lowly servant. I beg you. TK 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 T. I heard his teeth clatter in laughter and shivered. This proves all the more that you're an interesting specimen. You're already close to recovering your memories. In my presence a normal undead can't even speak, he said. My memories? What the flesh is going on here? I thought. Relax, it will all be over soon. I'll be quick, I have an appointment in another world anyway. Ah, let me get my new apparatus, he said as he waved his hand, a powerful force locking me in place. Oh crap! I panicked. This is bad. I was about to die. I tried to struggle but my body wouldn't budge. I really don't mind spending eternity mining rocks, you know. Just thinking about the mighty Scullius being erased from the world made me shiver. All my work was rewarded with this? I was scared. I didn't even get to learn the name of that skill I was so fond of yet. I didn't even get to ask why there aren't any female undead here. Wait. What are females? Arg, screw it. I'm finished. I knew there was nothing I could do. I stood there waiting for my end. However, something registered in me. Something that was near. It was something resonating with my core. I focused with all my strength. At least I should see what it is before I meet my doom. I finally burst of curiously to satisfy. I felt mana. Mana weaved into something more profound. Into something that made my mana core yearn. There wasn't one of it, but two. They were books. Books emitting a beautifully weaved mana. I felt for them. I also began to yearn for them. I was very sensitive to their beauty. I wanted it. I want you, I thought subconsciously. Come to me. My impulses led me to call out in my mind. I felt myself tugging at these books and, they responded. I felt them float from where they were, and towards me. They swiftly glided through the air and reached me. I had been in a state that confused me. I had been blind throughout the entire process, only focusing on the mana that was resonating with my core. I looked before me to see two tomes that glowed. One with a blue light, the other with a red light. They looked old, with a weird insignia on them that exuded a profound power. I felt undeserving of such a thing. I was drooling inwardly over them. I focused on the one with the blue light and it instantly shot a blue light into me that pierced through my skull. I felt a horrible pressure fall on my skeleton, causing me to quiver. I grunted and moved. I actually moved. Was the restriction on me broken? The pressure died down and I was left with a weird feeling. My bones felt different but looked the same. The book which had emitted a blue light fell to the ground. The glow around it had vanished, making it look ordinary. The red book shot a red light into my skull also, making me grunt and clutch my skull. I tried to make sure I didn't make any attention-grabbing noise. It was painful, to say the least. Like the other book, this one fell when it finished tormenting me with its light. I shook my skull and felt another different sensation in my bones. I was so confused. What were these books? What did they do to me? I suddenly heard a voice speak in my head immediately after the light show. It was melodious, prompting even an undead like me to praise it. Congratulations, you are now qualified to hear the voice of worlds and be granted a guidance field. Supreme skill acquired, lifeless evolution. Supreme skill acquired, flesh it like you mean it. What? Wait. Is that a female voice? Damn it, I'm so confused. What's this voice in my head? Skills. I acquired skills. How? My mind was in turmoil. I grabbed one of the books and looked at it closely. There was nothing I could get from it. How could this thing grant me a skill? Just how much didn't I know? I heard the clattering of feet approaching the room and I once again remembered that I was about to be ended. I stood and looked left and right. What do I do? This is definitely my only chance. If I go outside, no, I'll be hacked by all those death knights and captains. If I stay in the tower, he'll find me. What do I do? Think you boned idiot. Wait, what? I then saw the magic circle. Powered by mana gems. Didn't Somanda say he wanted to go to another world just now? Could he be planning to use this? Wait. Those death knights often boasted about. Without another thought, I rushed towards the magic circle and stood in the middle. Will this work? I thought as I stood. The circle glowed bright, then brighter, and I felt a powerful force grip my entire body. It started to twist everything around me, and pull me downwards. Somanda ran into the room, no doubt sensing the mana. His jaw fell to the floor as he saw doomed to die me being covered by a light from the magic circle. I was satisfied seeing his flabbergasted face as his socket flame raged madly. As I was dragged down the circle, my body disappearing within it, I said 2 words to him with an ecstatic tone. 2 words I'd wanted to say to someone in 1,000 years. Flesh you. Chapter 3. My eyes flickered with flame once again. After I was swallowed by the pressure and magic from the magic circle, I was terrified. I gambled on little information and it worked, but I wasn't sure if I'd actually land in another world. Hell, I wasn't even sure if they existed. For a few seconds, I had been subjected to great darkness where I couldn't see anything, even the off-white color of my body. It felt like I was in a dark, stagnant place. Then, an opening appeared in the void and spat me out. I landed too fast to see where I was. Now, I lay skull down on the ground. I used my bony hands to push off where I lay and stood. I raised my skull to see with my flickering flames the disgusting scenery before me. Life. Large protrusions stemmed from the ground and rose into the air, at their ends, green swaying monstrosities that screamed of life. Where I stood was not the black ground I was used to, but brown soil that seemed rich, bearing thin, green children everywhere. Flesh me, bro. The sky was blue, flying creatures streaking across. What is this madness? My body jerked and a couple of words appeared in my head. Trees. Grass. Leaves. Damn it. What the hell does that mean? And why does it seem so bloody familiar? Eeeeoo. From the blue, the voice I had heard before spoke again. Greetings, young undead. Please make haste and settle your affairs. Huh. This voice was coming from my head. I remembered hearing something about the voice of whatever when I was in Somanda's tower. Would you like to check your status before it's too late? What? Before what's too late? What is the status? As soon I finished thinking those words, a red, half-transparent light screen appeared before my socket flames. It had details inscribed on it which I focused on to perceive. Name, Scullius. Tier, none. If you want to read more chapters, please visit novelbin.com to experience faster update speed. Level, none. Race, moronic undead, lesser. INV. Status, doomed, adverse, ×2. Stats. Strength, null. Agility, null. Intelligence, met. Endurance, infinite. Mana, poor. Luck, atrocious. Skills. Mana sense LV10, permission to evolve. Flesh it like you mean it LV1. Lifeless evolution. What is this? I spoke. And who are you? You're creeping me out. I am the voice of worlds. I am a guide to those who have achieved certain requirements. I appear as the panel before you, called a guidance field. This just happens to be its miniaturist version. This is your status. It shows your current state in terms of individual information, statistics, and skills. I didn't want to rage out yet. But I noticed some things that I needed answered. My socket flames flickered. Can you please kindly tell me why that I envy whatever status says I'm currently doomed? Please click that thread with your finger and expand the information. I looked at my finger and poked the status. Strings of information being unfolded in the next moment. Invasive status. Doomed Factor 1, disowned. Your master, Undead Lich Somanda, has cut off his mana supply to you. Under normal circumstances, you would cease to exist. However, the benevolent Thou has granted you time to decide your own fate. If you cannot do that in the time given, you will meet your end. Time till DF1, 24 hours. Doomed Factor 2, Existential Crisis. Your distinct perception and absorption of mana throughout the years has caused you to start awakening what should have been lost a long time ago. If you fail to recover and remember this in time, you will suffer a crisis of your own existence and descend into madness. Time till DF2, 1 year. So let me get this straight. I am basically about to die or go mad from these two factors. Flesh this. I completely forgot that Somanda owns me and can just stop supplying me with mana. Arg. What is it that I am supposed to recover? You know it, don't you? Voice in my head. I yelled. Please refrain from calling me that and call me Voice of Worlds or Vow for short. Yes. I know everything about you. You have been getting short bursts of memories that confuse you. You're supposed to find out what they are. Even though you keep getting bits of them, this process is happening in an unstable manner. Furthermore, I cannot interfere with your path. My duty is to guide. Well. There's my motivation. A vague adventure with bigger stakes than a countryside butchery. Wait. What was that? Urgh. Okay. I've kept my cool long enough. Hey, why am I called a moronic undead? I barked. What kind of stupid name is that? Level, none. What's that anyway? Strength null, agility null. Intelligence, meh. What are these comments? Explain yourself, bro. I heard a scoff in my head. Please refrain from calling me, bro. Everything on your status will be described with a comment until you have a level. Your current attributes are so dismal that you lack a level. A level is part of a power measurement system used across worlds. As for your race, that is your race. A moron embodied in bone. That is why your kind was only sent to the mines and not given important tasks. You're a closed-ended species that has limited requirements for any form of growth. So, yeah. Well, that's discouraging and insulting. How am I a moron? Bonet, yes, but me. I swear I'll kill Somanda one day. I looked around and felt something in the air. There was a peculiar sensation tingling around me. It was something I was well accustomed to. I almost laughed when I felt on my bones. Mana. As you've noticed, there is an abundance of mana here, unlike in Dead Man Land. This is a possible path for you to cure DF1. It's also a path for you to evolve from the moronic undead race. There's so much mana here. I extended my hand and ran my bones in the air, feeling the chill of mana. My core was yearning for it. Maybe it won't be so bad, I tried to comfort myself. I can finally explore mana to my core's content. If I'm supposed to save myself from the mana problem, I'm going to have to supply my own mana, right? I asked. Yes. However, you can only do that if you evolve from your current race and gain a level. The DF1 will not be a detriment solved in one instance. A continuous supply of mana will be needed at all times. First, you need to increase your mana capacity through evolution. I would recommend that you aim for tier 1. Please check your skills. Why do I feel like my life is about to become an even bigger socket hole? I focused on the skills and they gave strings of information. Skills. Mana Sense LV10, permission to evolve. The ability to sense the presence of mana within a certain range. Supreme skill. Flesh it like you mean it LV1. Tired of looking dead? Are your eyes hollow? Do you need to smile and show off something other than bones? Call on the power of cosmetic flesh and get a body that's to your liking. Supreme skill. Lifeless evolution. Tired of the same old undead evolutions? Is being undead not trendy anymore? Well then, try the lifeless evolution package. 4 strong, unorthodox, and peculiar evolutions that will knock your skull off. If I were seeing these in your guidance field, it means that the skill is bound to and is non-refundable. What in the... Chapter 4. I stared at the guidance field with my jaw agape. Vow bro, what the flesh does this mean? I asked. Please refrain from calling me, bro. Also, the information shown is just introductory marketing information. Please swipe downwards to get the actual skill descriptions. I've got limited time before my death, life. Arg. I can't tell it apart anymore. You're wasting my time with useless details. Show me the good stuff. I yelled as I swiped with my bony finger. Skills. Mana Sense LV10, permission to evolve. The ability to sense the presence of mana within a certain range. Supreme skill. Flesh it like you mean it LV1. A complementary skill for the lifeless evolution package. The user is able to gain a flesh body that is masked from most types of detection magic. While it does compromise the user's racial abilities, it offers much more in exchange. The greater the level, the more realistic the body. Mana requirements, none. Duration, 24 hours. Cooldown, 3 hours. Supreme skill. Lifeless evolution. A different approach to evolution that unlocks the Lifeless Evolution series. With every evolution, you get powerful, yet unorthodox evolutions that differ from the Undead evolution series. More information accessible only after you change from your current race dash. So Mana Sense is the skill that I have cultivated for years. I see. What does permission to evolve mean? I asked. It means that your skill has reached the first evolution cap and can evolve into the next level. Just like you, skills can evolve too. TK. Mana Sense. It was the key to my escape from Somanda. I knew it was useful. Bonet that socket hole wanted me to be an all bones and no magic idiot like him. Look at me now Bonet. I looked up the next skill and I was both shocked and repulsed. Vow bro, you do realize that we have a saying back in Dead Man Land, right? Please refrain from you know what, forget it. Yes, what is it? Flesh you. We literally cringe at the thought of possessing flesh, so why would I want to wear flesh on my bones? Young Undead. If you haven't realized it, you're in a different world. This world is full of living beings. Strong, living beings. Just as much as you are repulsed by them, they will be repulsed by you. This skill will allow you to blend in. You're not aware of the disparity between levels and tiers yet, but it may shock you. Particularly with the humans. I advise that you use this skill when you encounter them. I grunted. Arg. Have I seen what flesh looks like? No. But I have an inborn hatred and image of what it does look like. How could it possibly match up to the roughness of my beautiful off-white bones? Let's check the last one, I said, looking at lifeless evolution. After a few seconds of pondering I finally spoke. If you want to read more chapters, Please visit novelbin.com to experience faster update speed. So this means I can never become a Death Knight or a Lich? I asked. Yes. Then what will I evolve into? You'll be offered 3 different choices at each evolution. You can choose one. That doesn't answer my question. The choices will be provided when you are ready to evolve. This sounds shady. What does the word unortho whatever mean? Ahem, it means the choices are very special compared to their undeath counterparts. Somehow I didn't believe thou bro. And I learned later, that I was right. Fine. Then let's start with mana sense. I want to evolve it to the next level. I got excited. My mana sense was already pretty strong. I couldn't wait to see what it could do after it evolved. My blank skull face showed nothing of the excitement I had, except for the flickering socket flames. Unable to evolve. Please evolve further than the lesser moronic undead race. I felt a bubbling rage and yelled into the air. Bro! I was so upset. Just how pathetic was this moronic undead race? What do you mean I can't evolve? The lesser moronic undead race cannot comprehend or handle higher forms of mana sense. Arg. I swear I will kill so Manda. Fine. Then I just have to use lifeless evolution, right? Use it? Unable to evolve. Please evolve further than the lesser moronic undead race. Why? I thought this was supposed to bring me evolution stronger than undeath. Not when you are a moronic undead. Urgh. I rushed up to a nearby rock and sat down. Hands on my jaws. This was depressing. I had to evolve further than the moronic undead to get a chance to use lifeless evolution. I didn't feel like a moron. I thought I was making progress. Vow bro. How do I evolve anyway? I asked. It's simple. All you have to do is assimilate the mana of other creatures into you. By killing them. Kill. I said, standing up. Yes. The atmospheric mana is pure and is good for increasing the core size. However, mana that has been nurtured inside another body has the ability to strengthen you as a whole. You'll be assimilating bits and pieces of your victims, therefore increasing your overall stats. You'll earn what we call cumulative mana experience. EXP for short. Oh ho ho ho. Now I'm getting interested. Let's do this. Killing things, huh? I've got a lot of pent-up stress anyway. I shot up from my seat and began running around the place. Please be warned. The disparity between levels and tiers is immense. Approach any leveled creatures with caution. Yeah, whatever. You're the one who gave me this deadline. I need to evolve as soon as possible. I will kill anything that I see. I yelled, running among the trees and grass. Eeeh. It was still a mystery to me how I knew what these things were. I was starting to wonder what my end goal would be if I did recover what I was supposed to recover. The source of these memories. Then what? I wasn't sure. Finding Somanda and turning him into a moronic undead somehow was definitely at the top of the list though. I was sure of it. I had also been thinking about why he didn't follow after me. Maybe, I was getting ahead of myself. I wasn't precious enough to have a lich run after me into another world. He probably thought I was dead. I mean doomed. That's right. Doomed. He will be in for a surprise when I return home with power that exceeds his. TK 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 T. I couldn't wait. I ran around the green place like a mad skeleton, hunting for anything that breathed. On the ground at least. It was only after 10 minutes that I saw my first prey. Oozing with repulsive life and feeding on the green grass, was a strange-looking creature about 10 meters from me. It had brown hairs on its body, with a height that reached my waist. It had 4 legs and what looked like teeth coming from the edges of its mouth. A small tail was dancing left and right from its backside as it fed. You'll be my first victim, I thought, the flickering flames in my sockets blazing wildly. I ran up to the creature, speedily moving my legs that made clacking noises as I approached. "You're mine!" I yelled. The creature suddenly turned towards me and the look in its eyes changed. I saw mana converging on this creature wildly. It lowered its stance and rushed towards me as well. Back in Dead Man Land, we had a game we played to pass the time. It was called Arm Yourself. I pulled my left arm from its joint and held it up with my right as a weapon. "Watch yourself, bro. I'm armed," I yelled. We finally clashed. All I remember from that encounter was feeling a dense wave of power and the detonation of mana. A powerful force caused the trees around us to tremble, and I remember my body flying far away from the creature, knocking against many trees and finally landing on the ground. My landing was not so pretty. My bones were fractured. My left arm was nowhere to be found and several parts of me had turned to a different shade. I looked around and struggled to stand. That thing was strong. "What the hell was that, thou bro?" I asked. In the next second, I heard a galloping sound that made my bones rattle. That thing was coming. "I warned you to be careful." "Yeah, I get that, but what is that thing?" I screamed as I hurriedly stood. "Please use your guidance field to check your opponent's information." The creature finally reached within my proximity and glared at me. It breathed out hot air, mana still being emitted from its body. I focused my eyes on the creature and its information was shown to me. Name, none. Tier, 1. Level, 1. Race, Dead End Apocalypse Spore. INV. Status, wants to kill you. Level 1. Chapter 5. A/N, as I said before, we'll be going into the third person for a while. In cases of changes, you'll see asterisk for the first person and for third in future. "Thou bro. What the hell is that?" Scullius yelled, his socket flames blazing fiercely. "The guidance field has given you a clear description of the enemy you're facing." "I get that, but how in the world is that thing a level 1? I warned you about the disparity between levels. Also, it is a full tier above you. You might want to run with your death." As soon as the vow finished speaking, the ground trembled from the galloping of the boar as it soon emerged from the line of trees and faced Skillius with fury abound in its eyes and bluish-white mana converging on its figure. "Flesh me. This is so not fair. Now I really wish that I have cultivated Boneman of Steel. Mana sense is only helping me see how I will face my doom vividly," Scullius said as he lifted himself with his remaining arm and took to his heels. The boar followed after him, accelerating at a rapid pace as its hooves scraped the grass and dirt. The two were running amidst the dense forestry while nothing in particular spectate this comical scene. The plus side of having infinite endurance was the ability to keep running forever. The downside was that if that infinite endurance was paired with a trash race like the lesser moronic Undead, there would be no increase in pace. As the boar approached, reaching 5 meters from Scullius, he panicked. "Thou bro. Help me," he pleaded. "As I said before, I cannot intervene any more with your destiny. I have already granted you many chances to live. Come on. Then why are you still here?" "I'm only allowed to stay here until the promotional package has been unlocked and used." "Promotional package? You mean the lifeless evolution ski?" "Humph. Humph. Humph." The boar bellowed as it reached Scullius and prepared to release another attack on his void ass. Scullius immediately dived to the side, narrowly avoiding the attack which then blasted a tree which the boar faced and ran into in his stead. Boom! Nothing remained of the tree aside from the stump which sizzled with a weak flame, chips of its previously strong body falling to the ground. Scullius' mouth was agape. He instantly dashed away, appreciating the head start he got while the boar was shaking its head and focusing its vision. The game of cat and mouse continued with the boar getting increasingly agitated and Scullius getting increasingly frightened. If you want to read more chapters, please visit novelben.com to experience faster update speed. He vaguely discovered a way to stall his doom by dodging at the precise moment that the boar activated whatever the socket it planned to use to kill him. After almost 30 minutes, the boar was starting to feel exhausted, much to Scully's glee. Great. I managed to survive long enough until it tired itself out. Now all I have to do is... Scullius felt a chill from the back of his bones as a large influx of mana that was gathering into a single position behind him made him turn his head. He saw the boar's body glowing in a bright red hue as it seemed to be activating a deadly skill. Oh, my lich! What the hell is it doing now? Scullius screamed as he watched the boar glare at him with reddening eyes that completed the look with its red aura. Please refer to the invasive status of the boar. Scullius frustratedly looked at the boar and activated the guidance field to give him more information about the boar. Invasive status. Currently cooking up the skill dead end. To end you. Bro. Is that really necessary? Scullius almost wanted to stop and kowtow to the boar. As he anticipated the worst to come, the light from the boar suddenly died down and it screeched to a halt. Scullius was dumbfounded as he saw this. The boar started backpedaling as it looked ahead. Scullius also turned to where it was looking and saw the view that he had missed as a result of the chase. There was an abrupt transition from the green grass to a golden shade that plastered itself on all life that was ahead of him. Trees. Grass. Even some patches of the ground had this golden shade. The sky remained ever blue above, Scullius even sensing the mana to be denser from here onwards. He had already stepped into this new patch of land. Your luck truly is atrocious. What was that? And nothing. Scullius felt a sense of foreboding as he looked at the image before him. What could be waiting for him ahead? He turned and took a step forward, heading back to the greenery of the forest. As soon as he did, the boar also took a step forward in his direction, its body beginning to flare in a red hue. Scullius took 2 steps back and watched the boar take a step back as well, away from him. He repeated his previous action, taking a step forward towards the boar, and it did the same again. This Sakathol isn't giving up. Why do you hate undead so much? I mean, I hate your lively guts too, but can't we just talk about this? The boar gave him no response other than a grunt as it released a burst of hot air. He turned and faced the golden path ahead and began to walk forward. Atrocious. What was that? And nothing. Scullius grew increasingly wary of the road ahead. He turned again and saw the boar huffing as it glared at him. There was no choice. He walked ahead, passing the trees that were on both sides. Strangely, the further he walked, the more he realized that the tree path became wider as if welcoming him to this new place. Maybe, it's not that bad, he tried to comfort himself. On either side, a few rows of trees could be seen before the rest turned into a shallow darkness that became pitch black the further one looked. Scullius gulped air as he continued walking ahead. "Thou brother, what is this place?" he asked. "Sigh. What is it?" "Gaya. Now you won't answer me." Sooner after, Scullius heard the voice of Thou announcing as a notification from the guidance field. "Congratulations. You have royally screwed yourself by entering a higher tier beast's majestic territory. You are now under gargantuan's scrutiny. You are practically naked before the great main mountain ape. You are now under King's gaze. All your skills and stats have been reduced by 90%. Haha. What stats? You are now under King's court. Depending on what you say or do, you may walk away a free skeleton or your existence will end with a single word." Scullius felt a tremendous force descend and almost trample him on the ground. He felt a severe sense of weakness as well as a scorching sensation that made his bony body start to sizzle. From the surroundings, creatures that looked like dragonflies with bright blue butterfly wings appeared and began flying around him. At their ends, a bright yellow light flickered from time to time as they circled around Scullius. A distance ahead, it was as if space distorted, changing from the view of a cluster of golden trees to the view of a massive figure that sat on a similarly massive stone throne. Scullius gazed at this figure and his core screamed. Scullius mumbled as he cursed his luck, which was indeed atrocious.